Hey guys, welcome to Car Flip Nation video. Today we're going to talk about buying car parts, how to save big and maximize your profits. As you get involved in flipping cars, you'll notice that auto parts are extremely expensive. Part costs and part availability can sometimes make or break your flip. So it's an important thing to consider when looking at a potential flip car, checking out part costs and availability so you can plan and see if this is going to be a good deal for you. Again, availability can vary depending on the year and model of your flip. So just because you know what a hood might cost on one make and model, maybe something totally different. For example, recently a car I've been working on, average steel hood price, a couple $100. However, some vehicles have an aluminum hood, and that goes up to $800-900 easy for that hood. So something to consider that could possibly make or break your projected profit margin on a vehicle if you didn't consider that. So it's a little bit of a gotcha, something to keep in mind. But you can save big by sourcing your parts correctly, and you might even be able to turn a profit on a car that many people may pass on. So said another way, you might be able to get a deal on a car at a low price because people believe it's going to be super expensive to fix. But if you can sell it, repair it cheaply, then you can make a huge profit on a car that, might actually be able to get that car as another unit that you can flip, as opposed to passing on for a car that only has maybe some minor repairs that is still going to sell for a premium. So that's the kind of car we're looking for. Being a licensed business can also help you in some states via what's called a reseller permit. Here in the state of California, you're charged on sales tax for any purchases you make via online or at an auto parts store like an O'Reilly's or an AutoZone. But if you have a reseller permit, then you can use that to save and not have to pay the sales tax. Thinking is that the consumer who buys that car in the end will ultimately pay for the tax on the entire price of the car, so that will cover all the components and parts that you put in it. All right, so car parts sourcing options. Where are you going to get your car parts? Maybe at first blush, if you're new to this and you didn't know where else to go, you're going to get your car parts from an AutoZone, Napa, or O'Reilly's. What you may not know is they mark up the prices of their parts by double, sometimes even triple. But the reason they do that is you're going to pay a premium for local parts that are available on the same day. So if you need something in a hurry, if you have your daily driver, you break down, you need a part to get back on the road, those are the people that they're really preying upon. But again, their prices have huge markups. One of the things you can do if you absolutely have to buy a part from them is sign up for their rewards program. In my experience, I think AutoZone's a little bit more generous with their rewards than, say, an O'Reilly's. I don't think Napa has a rewards program, but I could be wrong on that one. Another option is to get a commercial account. Again, AutoZone offers a commercial account and gives you part discounts depending on the volume of sales and purchases that you make. But if you're just buying a few parts, probably not even worth it for you. Another good source is online, Amazon.com, especially with the free shipping. If you happen to be a Prime member, is really tough to beat. I end up buying a ton of parts from Amazon, so I really do recommend them. Rock Auto is a little bit older traditional source. They do accept resale certificates, so they won't charge you the sales tax, where Amazon does charge you the sales tax. So sometimes that can make a difference, especially on a more expensive part. Rock Auto is great. They do charge extra for shipping, so if you can gang up a few different items and place an order at a time, you save a little bit of money that way. But their part prices are, sometimes half or less of what you're going to find at your local AutoZone. You just can't get it the same day. Partsology is another online source. They offer mostly engine parts, but they do offer next day shipping if you get the order in before, I think it's 3 p.m. So great source. Looking for some type of engine repair. Carpart.com, car-part.com is good for used parts. So that should probably be in the next line. Basically, it's a clearinghouse and index network for salvage yards, mostly private salvage yards. Carparts.com with no hyphen is brand new parts, and they do a lot of body parts, bumper covers, doors, hoods, that kind of thing. One other source to look at that I think is a huge opportunity to save a ton of money is your local pick and pull, U-Pull, or maybe LKQ. Depending on the area of the country that you live in, they go by some different names, but you can save huge by going to your local salvage yard. The only downside of a pick and pull, U-Pull, LKQ is there's a certain model year of vehicle that they typically carry. They're only going to pay so much for their cars that they purchase. They're going to purchase their cars at Copart or IAA or privately from individuals off the street. But usually they want to pay around $400 or $500 for a car. And so you're not going to get some of the newer cars. So if your flip cars, maybe a 2012, 2014 or newer, probably not going to find any of those parts at a pick and pull. That's where what I call the private salvage yards come in. So there's a lot of private dismantlers that purchase cars, the newer cars, and they think they can charge a little bit of a premium for those parts. Those parts can be super expensive. So keep that in mind again when you're considering a potential flip car, what the model year is and whether that's a year that parts that a local salvage yard or pick and pull may carry at a discount price, or some of your private salvage yards that are, let's just say, more of a full service yard where they'll already pull the part for you. You just go to the counter, order up the part, they'll hand it over to you, but you'll find that their pricing is significantly higher than the U-Pull lots. One of the last options we'll talk about a little bit more detail here in a minute are parts cars. So if you're doing a big project, maybe some collision repair or replace an engine, something like that, might be worthwhile to look at just buying another car that's wrecked or something like that, so you can get a lot of parts at a discount. Again, all of these can be useful, just depends on your needs and the project at hand. So keep a few of these in mind, and let's look at a couple case studies to understand what we're talking about here. So recently purchased a flip car, had a lean condition that was causing a check engine light. Did some diagnosis and determined that it needed a new mass airflow sensor. This particular vehicle, the OEM sensor from the dealer was $137. The same sensor from an AutoZone was $87, $24 at Rock Auto, and $18 with free shipping at Amazon.com. Some people are kind of purists in the automotive industry and they say only use OEM parts. And generally that's a good rule of thumb for a lot of things, but you will be paying a premium for that. And there's some folks that I know of that have basically said they went to the dealer, purchased an OEM part, opened up the box, and realized that it had one of the aftermarket labels from a Dorman or a Denso or something like that. So oftentimes you can actually buy the same exact brand sensor in a different label. There's only so many companies that make some of these sensors. So at the end of the day, you may not be getting that premium that you're looking for. And again, if this is a flip car, it may not be worth it to you. If it's your own personal car that you plan on keeping for a long time, maybe it's worth it for paying that extra for the name brand sensor. But an aftermarket sensor from Amazon usually works just fine. Amazon does have an excellent return policy, so if for some reason it's not working or it stops working relatively quickly within the return window, you can always just send it back and get another one, no questions asked. All right, let's look at another case study. This is one where we might want to look at the salvage yard. So this is leather seats in a Lexus. As you can tell, the interior is pretty trashed on this vehicle. The armrest itself is dirty, but doesn't appear to be damaged. That's probably just going to need a good cleaning. The big issue here is right along the seam of the seat is it looks like it's torn. So you might be able to sew that up with some needle and thread, but there's also this area up here. So more than likely you're going to have to either replace the whole seat cover here, or at least part of it. So looking online, $386 for an OEM seat from Lexus, color matched. A generic seat cover in tan was $175 brand new. I looked on eBay and I could only find for this particular vehicle an entire seat for, again, about $170. So you're looking at 200 something bucks. So most people maybe at first glance would look at this car and would pass on it because they just don't want to hassle with it, number one. Number two, if they were up for taking the seats out and replacing the covers, they go, man, this is pretty expensive. If you take it to an upholstery shop, they're probably going to charge you $400 or $500 easy for parts and labor to repair this, if not more. I once traded in a car that had a slight tear in a back seat, and a dealer didn't want to used car dealer didn't want to touch it because it had a damage to the leather seat. They were afraid of this big price tag right here. So it's definitely a consideration. A lot of people will pass on this car, so you may be able to jump on it. When in the end, if you go to a pick and pull, you can get a used seat cover for $12. Now they'll charge $12 for this seat cover, and then they'll charge $12 for this one as well. So in this particular case, you'd be looking at like $24 plus tax. But again, that's a huge discount over that $300, $400, $500 repair that you were thinking of. If you want to go even lower and you're doing a high volume of repairs, it might be worth investing in an upholstery sewing machine that with material. So you just replace this panel right here, you keep all the rest of it. Same thing, you just replace this little panel right here, and all this stuff down here you'd keep. You could probably repair this seat for maybe $5 or less, plus your labor, obviously. But huge discount. Again, could be a great opportunity for a flip that otherwise people may pass on, and therefore if it's sitting a while, you can negotiate it down, get a screaming deal on this car, and turn it for a big profit. So just something to consider. But again, if you don't want to go the whole sewing machine route, $12 for a seat cover is pretty amazing. The only trick is just to find one that's available and in the right color. All right, so just to wrap up parts cars, we talked about this a little bit already. For 1 or 2 parts, probably not worth buying a whole parts car. So instead, try your pick and pull, U-Pull, that kind of thing. Your local salvage yard, you can save big on seat covers, car parts, you name it. For more involved projects, maybe you're doing some collision repair, maybe you're swapping an engine out, something like that, you probably need to look at a parts car from a Copart or IAA. The only downside of this, a license is required in some states, so you need to be a dismantler or dealer or whatnot to get a business license to pass muster for Copart in particular. Maximize profits with a parts car by doing 2 or 3 projects with the same model year and model of car. So for example, if you're working on that Lexus and you buy a Lexus ES300 parts car, you're going to want to buy 2 or 3 more Lexus cars. A little easier to do if you're a licensed dealer shopping through an auction than maybe buying cars off of Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist. But definitely once you have that parts car, the first time it'll probably pay for itself. Maybe you'll pay the same for the parts that you would have bought if you bought directly from a pick and pull or U-Pull. But with that second or third project car, you can really maximize profits and ramp things up for yourself to save big, because all the parts from then on there on out are absolutely free. So I hope this was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of cool videos, some repair tutorials, and videos of actual flip projects that we've been working on. So stay tuned for those. And feel free to comment in the comment section below if you have some other ways to save big on auto parts to make your flips more profitable. Let us know below. We'd love to hear about it. And we look forward to seeing you in the very next video.